Yes, guys, welcome to another video here on the Andy#1 channel. Today is a brand new video in a brand new series, the Goalkeeping Week in Review, where we talk and analyse a goalkeeping performance within the past few days. Now, I'm joined by a very special guest for this. He's a football statistician, he's a data scientist, and he's an Astro physicist. If you don't follow him on Twitter already, you absolutely should do for some fantastic insight into the goalkeeping world. It's John Harrison. John, how you doing?
Yeah, great. Cheers. Thanks for having me on there, Andy.
Just seen a goalkeeping week of some excellent performances. Rui Patricio, Wolves fan myself, made some excellent saves against Leeds, kept Wolves in the game. Cardalo came in for a little bit of stick, a little bit of criticism by certain people within the media because apparently he let one in at his near post that he should have saved. We've seen Martinez be exceptional for Aston Villa. He's been superb. But the goalkeeper that we're going to focus on today is Jordan Pickford. Everton versus Liverpool. He was on top of his game after coming in for some criticism recently. John, why especially are we speaking about Jordan Pickford today?
I think it's probably because he's given his best performance of the season, and it wasn't just a great shot-stopping performance. He was also exceptional at preventing shots by coming for crosses, and his distribution, as usual, to be fair to Jordan, was top class as well.
Now, Jordan Pickford actually has history versus Liverpool, doesn't he? So there was the injury to Van Dijk last game, and also the mistake that led to the goal in the last. Was that the last game as well? I think it might have been as well. So he's got a little bit of history, but at the weekend he was exceptional.
Yeah, indeed. So while Pickford's not had his best season, so in fact he's the second lowest in the league as a goalkeeper in terms of save percentage minus expected save percentage, this game he was phenomenal. So by looking at all the shots he faced and using historical data, basically expected saves models predict that Pickford this week saved Everton about 1.2 goals on average. So he basically saved them the game, really.
So we're going to talk about three things in particular. We're going to talk about his shot stopping. We're going to be talking about his 1v1 technique, and we're also going to be talking about his distribution as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is his shot stopping, and the save that we're looking at specifically is that save versus Jordan Henderson. So I think it was Trent Alexander-Armstrong was on the right hand side. He's hooked one back into the box. It's been headed clear to Henderson, who's about 20 yards out. We can't show the clip, unfortunately, due to copyright, but we might be able to show a screenshot just here. But it's outside of his right boot. It was coming in a little bit, and Pickford has managed to get his fingertips on it and just put it wide of the post.
Yeah, no, it's a top class save. So post-shot expected goals model have it as going in about 55% of the time. So he's pulled out a real top draw save. That shot goes in more often than it doesn't. And the thing that I'd like to highlight from the screenshot is just how calm and how solid his set position is. So Jordan sometimes gets criticism for, and to be fair, it sometimes costs him goals because of how high his pre-shot jump can be. Like a little jump before a shot, as you'll know, is actually really good for generating explosive power. But if you're in the air for a decent fraction of a second, you're going to cut your reaction time massively. And similarly, if your arms and legs are all over the place, you're just dissipating energy that you could be using to accelerate towards the ball. But Pickford for this save was really calm, and he gets in a really nice power step where you can see him pushing off through his knee to get across to it. So I think it's a really good sign just how calm Pickford was making the save, because it's not something that he always possesses that calm confidence.
Yeah. You often see goalkeepers sometimes pulse. You often see goalkeepers have that little pre-jump and whatnot. But in this particular instance, Jordan's just taken a little pre-stop, a pre-jump, which has then managed to create that explosive power in order to power step, dive, and extend all the way through. I mean, what got me was that extension seemed to be huge. He's covered a lot of ground with that save.
Yeah, really has. And the ball was travelling. Like, it was a really powerful shot, and it was right in the far corner, and he's just got across to it. And he's actually probably made it look easier than it actually was by getting so far across so quickly to get a full hand to it.
So the second thing that we wanted to talk about and just look at quickly was the 1v1 save versus Mohamed Salah. Now, Salah's picked the ball up in that kind of inside right position. He's danced past a couple of Everton players, he's about 80 yards out, and he's looked to just bend the ball into that corner, hasn't he? And then again, Jordan Pickford pulls out the save.
Yeah, no, I love this. So 1v1s, if you follow me on Twitter, is my sort of big thing because I did a big study into them, analysed now over 1,000 Premier League 1v1s, I think, and built a model about how goalkeepers can best approach them. And what Pickford did here was basically the perfect decision in the situation. So the angle's quite tight for Salah, and he's quite close to goal. So definitely the right thing is to rush out and try and form a premeditated barrier. Because if he stays in his line, there's no way he's reacting from that range. Salah's just going to put it past the ball, hit the net before he even moves. So he does the right thing to rush out, and he forms a pretty nice block technique. So that's his sort of cricket style long barrier block technique, whatever you want to call it, where you have your calf down and 1 foot out to the side, and you basically try and just block the megs at all costs, and also keep your body upright to block the dink and try and fill as much goal area as possible. And that works really well for like I say, for narrow angled 1v1s. If the 1v1's in the middle, that's not going to work because there's so much gap either side of you. But if the angle's tight, forming that sort of cricket long barrier basically covers the whole goal. And Pickford did that really well, and again made another top save, another big moment.
Because you've picked up in previous games that this is actually a weakness of Pickford's. His technique doesn't seem to be the ideal technique according to the research and the stats and the information that you've got.
Yeah, no, indeed. So Pickford last year, in fact, he only saved 3 out of 7 close range 1v1s when he tried to use the spread or the block. So either the sort of starfish technique that you see Kasper Schmeichel use a lot, or the block technique he used against Salah. And when you sort of run them through my model, an average Premier League goalkeeper would probably have saved about 5 rather than 3. So it's somewhere where he's underperforming. And if you just look at a few of the shots, and to be fair, if you watch the Van Dijk injury, you can see why this is, and that's because often he leads with his feet and ends up sort of almost tackling the striker rather than forming a blocking position so the ball just hits him. He tries to get a little bit aggressive and he gets a little bit out of control, and that means he almost gets horizontal, which is not going to be a good idea because you can imagine how much goal area you cover like that versus how much goal area you cover like that. So yeah, it's a place he struggled, and it's normally because he sort of really wants to affect the ball. He really wants to be aggressive and get at the striker, and it's actually cost him a few times, like you'll see on the screenshots with the Dele Alli goal and a few other goals. So yeah, it's definitely something he needed to improve on, and I really enjoy that he's shown that improvement, and especially in the sort of Liverpool game, because it feels like to him it's sort of a psychological thing. That's why he gets so two-footed and aggressive in his sort of close range 1v1s, is because he really wants to affect the ball. And the fact against Liverpool, in a clutch moment when Salah's in 1v1, he remained calm and stayed upright. And he does twist a little bit, so there is still room for improvement, but he managed to get something that looked like a good solid block out there, which is a really good sign for Pickford going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned the screenshot there, and we'll put it up on screen now. Now, he doesn't form the textbook block that you'd expect to see. His shoulders aren't 90 degrees to the ball. He hasn't got a big barrier, but he does get himself into a position where he saves the shot. So it's obviously more important that he saves the shot than has a perfect technique, but still, it's not quite a strength in his game.
No, yeah, it's not quite a strength. If you're looking at, so keepers, I'd say this is definitely a strength, were Matty Ryan last year at Brighton. It used to be De Gea's strength a few seasons back, but his technique, if you watch a few of the goals he's conceded, like the Son one and the one against Bournemouth last year, you'll see that De Gea's also getting a bit twisty and losing his plant foot as well in the sort of block technique. But I'd say at the moment, yeah, Matty Ryan's the sort of goalkeeper you want to be looking at for a sort of textbook, really nice block technique, and that's why his 1v1 save percentage in wide close range 1v1s is so high.
So in terms of Pickford, he was actually performing lower than expected from his shot stopping, but yet made a fantastic save against Henderson. He's actually performing lower than expected in his 1v1s as well, but yet made that save. So potentially he's now on the up with this. And the next thing actually we're going to talk about is something which he's famed for, is his distribution skills. And you've got a couple of examples here where his distribution skills have come to the fore and really aided Everton on the attack. Yeah,
indeed. So Pickford had an incredibly solid game distributing. So actually he received the ball under pressure 4 times and managed to gain Everton unpressurised possession on all four occasions after those. So he managed to beat the pressure 4 out of 4 times. So he was really tidy, sort of short range when he got the ball under pressure. But like you say, these 2 examples just show how deadly his distribution could be. And we saw the other day as well with Edison being so good at distributing against Arsenal. Pickford does a similar thing here. He doesn't only play short, he can also cut out the whole team if you press him. So you can see with the first one, he's got the ball in his hands. Liverpool play a pretty high line. He sees Richarlison makes the run, and he just hits a beautiful side volley over the Liverpool centre-backs, and Richarlison gets in, basically 1v1. It didn't turn into anything in the end, but if you've got the ability to generate those chances, it doesn't just get your team out, it's also potentially getting them closer to goal and closer to getting a goal. So that was a great example. And it's not just sidewinders and side volleys he can hit out of his hands like that. The second example is he puts Dominic Calvert-Lewin through again, 1v1. Again, it doesn't lead to anything, but it's doing way more than just getting Everton up the pitch. He gets a back pass, Firmino presses in, not even bothered. He just hits a beautiful, sweetly struck left-footed pass straight over the top of everyone again, and Calvert-Lewin reads the bounce better and gets in and gets away. And I think that's something when Pickford's playing poorly, people often forget how much of an asset having distribution like that is. It means whenever you're under pressure as a centre-back, you can just turn around, give it to Pickford, and he's not just going to lump it. He's going to actively put Everton on the attack and potentially get them a goal from it.
So how important is Jordan Pickford's distribution skills to Everton as a team?
Yes, I think it's vital because it allows them to get out of so many tricky situations. So now with a lot of teams wanting to play from the back more often, so Everton actually don't play from the back that much, but he gives them the opportunity to if they want to get out. But Everton like playing a lot of long balls and hitting Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison and trying to work off them. And so Pickford's distribution is vital to that, because the fact he can laser a 70-yard pass on a sixpence is just crucial if you're going to want to play that sort of style where you're getting in behind and getting Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison running at defenders. It's invaluable for Everton to have a keeper with such accurate distribution.
So just to complete the conversation and just finish off and just to have a look at Pickford's overall game, the conclusion to this is actually he was incredibly vital, obviously, to the 3 points to Everton. His shot stopping was a hell of a lot better than it has been in recent weeks. His 1v1 save was, again, vital save, key moment of the game. He's done what he needs to do, and also he's now performing a lot better than it was previously. And thirdly, to make it an all-round performance, his distribution has put Everton in a couple of times and made Everton been able to get out when potentially they were under a bit of pressure from Liverpool to relieve the pressure and put Everton back on the attack. Thanks everyone for watching. Really hope you've enjoyed this new type of video. If you have, make sure you click a like on it, help that YouTube algorithm. Let's see many people as possible watch this video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. And of course, go follow John on Twitter for more in-depth, insight, goalkeeping expertise. Thanks for watching. See you all soon.